We've talked about keeping a list of or links to various quotes and statistics and other reference material that you might like to use later on to support your posts when, for example, you're creating an opinion piece and you need to support your opinion by some actual data. And I showed you how I maintain something like that in my own Evernote account. That's how I save that data. But quotes and statistics and studies can be the basis of entire posts on their own. And that's what we're going to look at in this video. Obviously, in fields like finance or medicine, there's going to be statistics and studies being released daily from universities and research centers and independent sources. And you could absolutely bury yourself in the data that's being released in those niches. But even outside of those markets, there's all kinds of data being produced and released every single day. And when something juicy comes out, it's your job as the market leader to bring those facts to your marketplace. So what we're looking at now is an example from my own Evernote collection of stats and studies around internet marketing, and specifically Facebook. So Facebook released some data around the usage of their like buttons. So they said that 10,000 websites integrate with Facebook each day. More than 2.5 million websites have integrated with Facebook. Over half of the 25 fastest growing ComScore retail sites use Facebook. Media sites that adopt the like button average a greater than 300% increase in referral traffic from Facebook. And every month, more than 250 million people engage with Facebook on external websites. Now, each individual one of those items that I read could easily be worked into an entire standalone post for my audience about how Facebook as a whole should be part of one's strategy, and about how the like button in particular encourages traffic and engagement in various ways. And then since I have actual data that I'm quoting, the entire post, the data that I'm quoting, the entire post will be built around that data. So the posts themselves will stand stronger and they'll resonate more with my audience. When you've got an eye out for data like this, when you're going through and looking for things like this, and you build a post around it, suddenly it's not just you standing on a soapbox and telling your audience what to do, and it makes you become more believable and more trustable. It's the difference between me saying to you, you should install a Facebook like button on your website, and me saying one of the strongest traffic generation reasons to implement the Facebook like button is because sites that do average a 300% or higher increase in referral traffic from Facebook. Now, I really think that that second statement is a lot more powerful and a lot stronger, don't you? Now, next, we've got an example from Joel Marion, who works in the fitness and diet niches. So he starts his post by saying, "Last night, while out to dinner, I was reminded of 2 research studies." Yes, I know, I'm a geek. And then he goes on to tell a little story about going out to dinner. And he says, "Did you know," a little further down, "did you know that you're bound to consume roughly 20% more mindless calories during a night out if you fail to call ahead than if you were to have a reservation? Weight loss research has shown exactly that." And then he explains the reason behind that. And later on, he goes on to say, "Lesson number 1, make a reservation. And the second study came to mind when we went to pay the bill. Between the 6 of us, the bill was, well, it wasn't cheap. And then everyone threw in their credit card for payment." You can't see it in this slide, but he goes on to say that the second study that he was thinking of showed that when people paid with credit card over cash at a restaurant, they tended to spend more. And then, of course, relates that back to his own audience and what that means for weight loss strategies. So what's especially nice about these statistics and studies-based posts is that you don't have to wait until you're the market leader to put out this kind of information. Since you're taking your data from a reputable source already, you don't have to be the expert to simply relay that information to your readers. But it does help, whether you're already a recognized market leader or a brand newbie in your niche, if you not only mention the studies and the stats, but also, like always, like we've talked about in other videos, explain why this information is valuable and how that applies to the readers. So ask or tell them, what is the big takeaway? What could your readers do moving forward based on this information? Tell them directly in your post what this means to them and how they should change or not change based on this information. You could also use the results of, and back to that, that's exactly what Joel Marion just did in his post. He spoke about if you dine without a reservation, you tend to eat more mindless calories. Therefore, if you're looking to lose weight and you need to eat out, you should make a reservation. If you dine and pay via credit card as opposed to cash, you tend to spend more money, which probably involves buying more food, right? So again, if you're looking to lose weight and you need to dine out, you should probably pay in cash. So tie it back to your audience. What does that mean to them? You can also use the results of reader surveys that you conduct on your own site or reader polls that you conduct in your own site in a stats and studies kind of post. So we cover doing polls and surveys in another video, so have a watch of that video for more information on that. And you can even take a study that was published and then ask your readers similar questions and see if your audience matches up with the study data. Whether it does or whether it doesn't is entirely not the point and doesn't matter at all, but it'll give you insight into your readers, and what's more, it'll give your readers insight into themselves and how they measure up versus that scientific study. And people love learning more about themselves. You'll have the information to do these kinds of posts because you do your daily curation workflow, and all of this data will be coming to you, and you've just got to capture it so that you can use it later like I do in Evernote. When you need a post idea, you can always cruise through the stats and studies that you've collected in an Evernote folder or something like that. So cruise through those for inspiration, and in that way you can use the stats and the studies to keep yourself shipping all the time for your audience.